Hey, good morning, Facebook. It is super early, but I am going to come on for a few minutes. All right, cool. Let me get Instagram going so I can talk to y'all really quick. Okay. All right. Good morning, you guys. It is here. It's almost 6:30 here in Texas. All right. And I wanted to come on. I normally come on at like 3 a.m. And hey, Derek. And so, I get up, and when I get up, I feel God leading me to pray and seek his face. And it has been like pressing on me lately to rise up early, to enter into the presence of God, to really hear what he is saying, because there is so much noise out here. Okay. It is a lot of noise. And me and my husband were talking yesterday. He said, it's crazy. I don't know if you guys, well, I know you can think about this, but think about when you used to hear a song back in the day and it started off like a radio turning channels, right? Where it's like, this channel is somebody with an advertisement. This one is somebody singing a certain kind of song. This one, it has all these different types of messages that are being conveyed as you're kind of scrolling through the channel. Well, when you go up and down Instagram feeds now and you go up and down Facebook feeds, he was like, that sounds like a radio channel. Like you're scrolling through the channel. It's just noise. There's videos and, everything is about video reels now. And everybody's messaging is just being spewed at you. And you're constantly getting fed all these different types of people's ways, right? People's impressions, people's influences. And if you're not careful, it will drive you insane, right? So I want to come on this morning and I want to talk to you about understanding what it means to be in pruning season, and also understanding when there is a call and an assignment on your life, what is essential for us to do to be able to operate in the fullness of where God is calling us. Okay. I know that this has been a personal, area of battle for me. I was telling a friend last night, I said, God, I've been in this serious spiritual warfare, like really fighting for my mind, really wanting to be able to have full connection to where God is leading me without the endless amount of battles with what God is calling me to do, like the assignment that is on your life. Hey, Ronnie, good morning, girl. And so I want to talk to y'all about the importance of knowing the assignment that God put on your life. Okay. We're going to talk about that. And then also, okay, Ronnie, I'm going to call you back because I definitely need to talk to you. But I want to get you guys to see why the vision that God is giving you is so critical and we have to move with urgency, okay? And I also want to share with you guys the importance of knowing that even in your journey of walking in the fullness of who you're called to be, you will deal with opposition, you will deal with battles, and why faith is so critical. So if I can encourage y'all in anything from this morning before we even start, I want to encourage y'all to go to YouTube and watch any of Michael Todd's videos on crazy faith. Please. I woke up this morning and I listened to one of them and I'm still listening to it. I can't remember the name of the message. I'll find it and I'll share it in my Facebook feed, but even by his book. But Michael Todd, Crazy Faith, is critical in this season of our life, like super hyper critical, because it is important to be hyper focused. It is important to be hypersensitive. It is important to be super intentional about your actions. Okay. So here's the thing. This is what I know for sure. All right. I know for sure that every single one of us has an assignment on our life. The reality is a lot of us can't hear it. What is the moves that I am supposed to make, right? Now, I'm not trying to be deep and super spiritual and spooky. The assignment may be the career path that you're supposed to take, moves that you want to make as a parent for your kids, things that you can do for the next level in your relationship and your marriage, connections that you need to be intentional about, people that you work with, people that you no longer work with, different things. And one of the things that I want to encourage you guys to understand is that God speaks to us in practical steps, okay? I think a lot of times we try to make this journey of life very spooky and deep and over we overthink everything. But God gives us cues. He gives us little steps that he tells us to take. And he wants us to learn to hear his voice. It's where it says, my sheep hear my voice, right? And they know my voice. And so a lot of times we hear things. We're being led to do something. We're being led to start that business, or we're being led to get up and go to the gym, or we're being led to pick up the phone and reach out to somebody that we know we need to connect with, or we're being led to invest in that class, invest in that coaching program, right? Is God calling you to a higher way of you being who you're called to be? And we often suppress that and second guess it. And then we dwell on it and we go over it over and over and over and over and over again. We start thinking, oh gosh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it's not time. Maybe we start talking ourselves out of those things. And then what generally happens is that we start going out to other people and we're like, what do you think? I've been thinking about doing this thing. Do you think I should do it? What's your opinion? Do you think I should start? And we start asking people to confirm what it is that God is calling us to do, that he's giving us the inspiration to do. Because see, the way that God works is through our dreams, through our vision, through our imagination. So you will get these visuals of things that you are, assigned to do. These are things that are like, hey, this is the roadmap. This is the blueprint. This is the next step. This is the next turn that you need to make. And a lot of times we dwell on it. We sit, we think about, oh, should I do it? Maybe I shouldn't do it. Should I start? Maybe I shouldn't start. Well, what if I don't have the money right now? Well, I'll do it when I get debt free, or I'll do it when I have more time, or I'll do it when this summer when my kids get out of school, or I'll do it when this happens. I'll do it when that happens. And then we start postponing the things that God is encouraging us to do. And then we wait for somebody to validate and approve it before we step into the action of that thing. Now, I cannot speak on this except for knowing what I've done, okay? What I've done. This is a thing that has been the torment in my mind is, am I hearing God, or am I supposed to be doing something else, right? And so a lot of times we are not clear on whose voice we're hearing. Is this God telling me that I should do this, or am I crazy? Is this me thinking that I'm walking it? Well, I'm not qualified for that. And we start talking ourselves out of things, okay? We start talking ourselves out of things. And then what tends to happen is that we end up waiting for someone to come and show us what to do. Or we wait till we find somebody already doing it, and we hope that we can have a model or an example to show us what this looks like. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to do it until I can see that somebody else has had success at doing that thing. And so ultimately, over time, the longer you wait, the longer it festers, right? The longer that it just dwells in your brain, you start trying to rationalize until you completely talk yourself out of it. Fear takes over and faith is no longer there. And what I want you guys to understand about where you are in this season of your life, it may be that you're facing pruning season. So let's talk about what is pruning. I was looking this up a few minutes ago. So pruning, when you are growing a plant or you're growing a tree, the process of pruning is designed to cut off the dead branches, cut off things that are not working so that you can have room for growth, for new growth, for things that are designed to be to your favor, that things are going to help expand your tree, okay? It is going to elevate your tree, okay? So I'm gonna read this real quick. It says, the process of year-by-year growth is similar for all fruit-bearing trees. Pruning fruit trees is necessary for new vibrant growth to occur. The definition of pruning is to trim by cutting away dead or overgrown branches or stems, especially to increase fruitfulness and growth. Cut away, reduce the extent of something, right? So here's the thing. When you're calling and asking God, when you're reaching out and you want God to guide you, if you're saying that I truly want to be in alignment in my life, I want God to lead me where I'm supposed to be, I really need divine connection. Like, I want to know, what is my purpose? What should I be doing with my time in this season of my life? What exactly should I be focusing on? And we're actually giving God permission. What's going to happen is God is going to help us get clarity. And I was telling my accountability group the other day, I said, it's so funny that the more you discover what you don't want to do, the more you'll start getting clarity about what you do want to do, right? So there's a lot of things that, sometimes God is showing us what to do, but we start choosing other things. We start going in other directions. We start picking up this thing and that thing because this person said this works and that person said this works. So we start following the trends and the influencers and what everybody else is doing. And what happens is it creates frustration. And so what we have to be mindful of is when we're asking God for clarity, he will begin to prune things out of your life, which means he intentionally starts making things frustrate you, right? He intentionally allows things to not work in your favor because it's not where you're supposed to be. He intentionally allows you to realize that something is out of alignment so that you can get back in alignment. And so what happens is you begin to realize like, oh God, something's not working here. I need to walk away from that. Let me let this go. But pruning season is the intentional cutting off of things that are no longer working in your life to make room for expansion and growth. And so what happens, guys, especially in our lives of today, many of us are so connected socially through these forms of our phone, right? We're always scrolling through a feed somewhere that what happens is over time we get programmed to always seek validation through the scroll. Right? We're looking for a motivational message. We're looking for somebody to tell us what we're doing is the right thing. We're looking for an example. We're looking for somebody to model after. We're looking. And what happens is now when God is showing you stuff, when you have that intuitive guidance and there's things that God is saying, okay, go in this direction, go do this, start that business, take action on that, build out your website, reach out to this person, make that phone call, do this thing, launch that course, whatever it is, right? I'm using it in the form of business because that's the world that I live in. But when God starts telling us to do those things, we start getting delayed through the scroll. We start getting delayed by seeking validation. We get delayed because we see somebody else that put up a post that may be a counter message of what God said. And then we second guess what God just showed us. And then we start wondering why we're living in a state of confusion. And so what I want to do for you guys this morning really quickly, and I just felt led to do this because I personally was going through this. And I woke up this morning and I was like, God, I get up usually. Lately, you guys, I've been going to bed at night, listening to TD Jakes, listening to Steve Furtick, listening to Michael Todd, right? Those are really strong sources that I listen to and allow to play in my ear while I'm sleeping. And then when I wake up first thing in the morning, I put them on because I feel like in order for my cup to be filled in this season, I have to constantly be connected to sources of wisdom that will be connected to the word of God. I want y'all to hear me on that, right? Now, we're in a generation where the ability to understand and identify believers are fading away fast, right? It's the season, me and my husband talked about this. I said, this is a season where everything that is right and of God is wrong, and everything that is wrong is right. So people make you look bad and feel bad when you're a believer and you trust in God. But everything else is like, oh, you crazy if you're not with this side of the fence, which is a sign of the times, right? Is that we're in a state where there is a lack of godliness, right? It's just not there. But what that means is God is moving us with a greater sense of urgency to get in position for what he wants to do in our lives. And for those of you, and I'm really speaking to those of you who know that God has planted and put an assignment on your life, right? And this doesn't mean perfection. I'm not talking religion. I'm not talking any of that. I'm talking relationship where you have an anointing. There is an assignment on your life. And there are things that God wants to do in and through you. But you are in a battle of what that looks like in both your confidence. You're battling like, God, am I capable? Am I good enough? Am I qualified? Like, God, you can't use me. I'm unworthy. Like, are you really? Like, I'm not equipped for that. You're dealing with the battlefield of your confidence and your calling, but you're also built in the battlefield of the influences that are accessible to your life. And we have to be very guarded and protected. And so I want to share with you guys just a few key things that God is revealing to me to help encourage you guys on how to navigate through this terrain, because it is rough waters out here, y'all. And I know, me and a good friend in my accountability group, we were talking last night, and I said, I'm in a season of my life where I have to be highly discerning, even when it's against my own thoughts, right? Because there are things where I personally, in my human limitation, battle with against God. And I have to say, no, but God, that's what it means to walk in crazy faith, which is Michael Todd, y'all. Go buy the book. Go watch any of his sermons on YouTube. I am a huge Michael Todd supporter for the boldness in which he preaches and the things that he teaches, because he's very, very practical, okay? Very practical. So let's talk about what it means to be in pruning season and how to stay in alignment for where God is leading you in your life right now, and how to be okay with who he cuts off and what he cuts off. Because pruning season means that people and things will be removed out of your life. Pruning season means that things that you once did that worked, that are no longer working, it's time to burn that boat, okay? It's time to burn that boat. Yes, please go check out Michael Todd. You might see Mike Todd, M-I-K-E Todd, okay? Transformation Church, Oklahoma. Highly recommended. Highly, highly, highly recommended, okay? So the first thing that you have to and you want to do is get clear on what God has for you by getting quiet, okay? Now I'm going to tell you guys, a relationship with God is an ongoing thing. It is not attached to a church. It is not attached to a religion. It is attached to a spiritual connection that you make with God. Me personally, I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. People got battles with that. It's a whole lot of whatever, okay? But I'm going to tell y'all right now, I would much rather be connected to God, to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, with all the rumors and everybody's opinions and everybody's conspiracies going on about who and what is not, than to be out here listening to these foolish, crazy people out here, quote unquote, influencers or whatever. Because the people will lead you astray. People will lead you straight to hell. And I mean that in a way of your life can be wrecked. Your finances can be wrecked. Your relationships can be wrecked. Be careful who you are taking advice from. I am, it's scary. And I told this to somebody the other day, and this is why I'm doing this video. It's scary that, and somebody said this when we were in Mexico. They said, imposters are not afraid to be an imposter. Imposters are not intimidated or worried about being an imposter. It's the people who God has naturally called to do things, who has a sense of humility, that may feel limited in their human abilities, that deal with imposter syndrome, right? So in other words, us regular human beings, where God has given us an assignment, we're like, who, me, God? Can you use me? No. And you thinking about all your flaws. People who are intentional imposters are not worried about being an imposter. They are designed to manipulate. They are designed to come in, steal, kill, and destroy, but do it in a way that is going to seem as if it's in your favor. And I want y'all, if you get a chance, to go and watch How to Be a Tyrant on Netflix, okay? How to Be a Tyrant. It is a documentary series that talks about Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, Hitler. It talks about all these historical, quote unquote, leaders who actually had full intent to destroy a population of people, how they actually manipulated their way into that community to build trust with them, to make them feel like they're on your side, to empower you in ways to make you think that they would never turn on you, only to throw people into a room in a chamber and turn on gas to kill them, right? People who are designed to be a manipulator in your favor know how to win your heart over. They do. And you have a ton of leaders, quote unquote, influencers in social media today that are the loudest, that are the most dangerous people to have access to your life. The most dangerous. And many of us are so incapable of having discernment. We're so disconnected from what God is calling us to do that we can't even spot out the manipulation and the anti people in your life. And I watched something the other day, and it amazed me of how how creative, how crafty, how beautifully organized the manipulator can create. It is very, very scary. And when I look at what's happening today on social media and having this platform that you can say, anybody has access to come say whatever the heck they want. And there's so many people who are vulnerable, gullible, not discerning. They've never probably experienced any real mentorship in their life. They're succumbing to the manipulation of people's words that sound so nice, and they're becoming praise to their entire plan. And so for those of us that are watching today and that are here, and if you are in a place, in a space where you're saying, okay, God, I really want to be in alignment with your will for my life. The first thing you want to ask God to do is to let me learn how to hear your voice. Teach me how to get quiet enough to cut off all the noise so that I can be able to hear from you. Because I don't want to walk in a room of deception and be manipulated by the things that are against where it is that you've called me to be. But instead, I want to be so in tune to your voice that I can immediately identify the counterfeit. I remember when I was in high school, and we used to have career day. And we had somebody, I think it was from the IRS maybe, or maybe from the FBI, somebody who was like CIA or whatever, some high position. They were the guest speaker at our, in high school at our career day. And he talked to us about counterfeit money. And he said, you know, when we get trained through our training to be able to identify counterfeit money, we actually study real money so much that immediately when we see a counterfeit, we can spot it out. So instead of spending time studying the counterfeit, they study the real deal. And that allows them to be able to spot a fake immediately. They know if the eye is in the wrong place, if the numbers are off, if the sign, the colors, anything, they can tell because they study the real deal. And that allows them to spot the fakes. What has to happen, you guys, is your relationship with God has to be so powerful. You have to be so connected to God spiritually in your own life here that you can immediately spot the fakes. The things that people say, you'd be like, that ain't God. That ain't God. Let me tell you something. Because these folks, they so crafty. Oh, it's like three truths and a lie, right? It's three truths and a lie. They will give you three things that are real, but then they throw that little counterfeit up in there. And you start realizing like, whoa, something's off right here, right? This is not the God that I know. This is not coming from the source that I know. There is some manipulation in this thing. And it happens all the time. Y'all, it happens everywhere. I'm not saying that there's any person on the face of this earth, I don't care who they are, what really believe or non-believe, whatever. Any human being is capable of being a deceiver. Anybody, all of us. Right? Which is why that relationship is important for yourself. I may say something that doesn't align with what God has called you, right? You have to be so clear and so connected to what God has called you, right? That you can easily know the truth and you can easily spot out the counterfeit. The next thing that you want to do is pray and ask God for discernment. Discernment, y'all. What is discernment? And let me look up a formal definition of discernment, okay? Because this is connected to your intuition, right? But discernment is the ability to judge well. It's the ability to pick up on cues of things that are out of order, right? Having discernment. So you know, my daughter has a dog walking business. And let me tell y'all something, y'all. Dogs are some of the most amazing creatures ever. Their level of discernment is so powerful, which is why people love having dogs around. Because they can hear anything, they can feel energy, they're hypersensitive. They have very strong discernment. And so for many of us, we have to get that hypersensitive discernment of like, something is off here. And let me tell you where you really need to pay attention to that. In the relationships that you're connected to, in the type of connections that you are making, in the company that you keep, right? in the things that you're giving access to your mind. So let me explain to you what I mean by that, right? So a lot of times, guys, we will be connected to people that look like our friends. We will be connected to people that we feel we can trust. We can pick up the phone, we can call, we can tell them our innermost, deepest, darkest secrets. We can lay things out to them. We think we can. But you start getting these cues that this person really is not in your honor. Like, this person really doesn't have your back. This person really is not looking out for your best interest. There are things that you'll start discerning about connections that you're with. And I put a post up this morning. I said, a lot of times you'll have people who just want to get access to you because they want to see if the anointing that is on your life. See, here's the thing about people. People see your gifts. People see your talent. People see your power. People see what God wants to do in you. Sometimes people on the outside have a clearer vision of who God has called you to be than you do. The question is, how many of them are actually there to be a doula for your birthing process? How many of them are actually there because they are divinely connected to you becoming who God has called you to be? How many of them are actually interested in seeing you be held high, where they are willing to be honest enough with you about where you're not walking in your greatness, that they're willing to be very forward with you boldly in conversation and say, you know what, Nicole? You being fake right now. You know what, Nicole? You playing small. You know what, Nicole? You're not walking in the fullness of what you're capable of. You know what, Nicole? You too caught up in being, I have this in my circle where people reveal to me that I was super transactional. I wasn't authentic, that I was, living in a lot of fairy tales that were not connected to being present. There were things that they revealed to me that I was like, you know what's crazy? I felt it, but I didn't know I was showing up that way, right? Hey, Diamante, that's my girl, right? That's my girl. One of my accountability partners. But there are people in my circle now that will call me on my BS, right? And a lot of times we're surrounded by people that will tell you anything. They won't help you to see where you're falling short. They won't tell you when you're doing something wrong. They won't be honest with you about areas that you need to grow in. And so when it comes to discernment, when it comes to wanting to elevate your life, when it comes to being able to do what God has called you to do, be discerning about the people in your circle. Are you around people that are so committed to gossiping, people who are committed to talking about other people who are committed to the hardships in life, people who are committed to the struggle? Now, don't get me wrong. There will be seasons in your life where you are in a slump. I have been in there, in it, where I'm just like, I need somebody to just remind me of who I am. I need somebody to just let me know, just remind me that I do still have power and greatness in me. Remind me that I'm bigger than the role that I'm playing. Remind me of that. And it reminds me of, I can't remember if it was Moses, but I think it's either in Exodus or it's in Numbers, right? And it's back when the Israelites were in the wilderness and they were in a battle. And what was happening is I think it was Moses, when they were fighting this battle, Moses had to keep his hands up in order for them to win that battle, right? As long as his hands was up, right? He's holding his hands up. The Israelites were winning the battle. But when he got tired and he lowered his arms, they started to get defeated. And he realized, I need somebody to help me to hold my arms up. So what happened is one person came on the right of him, another one came on the left of him, and guess what? They held his hands high so that they can win the battle. It took an army to fight the battle, and it took co-laborers who were willing to be inconvenienced with their hands held high beside him, holding his hand saying, I got you, brother. No matter how tired we get, we're going to keep our hands up high so that we can win this battle. Those are the kind of people you need in your life. The people that you can be vulnerable with, the people you can cry to, the people that even though they look at you as being strong and powerful, they're good with understanding that you too can be weak, that you too need support, that you too need to have somebody to have your back, that you need somebody to help hold your hands up high. If you have people in your circle who are only around you when you're strong, when you're at your best, when you're in your A game, when you're winning, and then when they start seeing things fall apart and they disappear from you, or all of a sudden you toxic because you're having a rough season in your life, but oh, just last month when I was winning, or last year when I was on top and I was accomplishing all these things, you were praising me and you were giving me all this verbiage about what I am and all of this, but because you see that I'm human and that I'm struggling and that this is a season where I need you to have my back, and all of a sudden I'm the toxic one. Oh, thank you, God, for pruning these people out of my life. Thank you for taking the ones away that are only around in my winning season so that they can eat from the fruit of the labor in which I've invested, but they're not willing to be contributors to sow seeds and to benefit from reaping from my harvest. Right? Be very discerning and mindful of that. And that is why pruning season is so critical. Pruning season, y'all, is painful. I want you guys to think about this. I want you to think about things getting cut out of your life. I want you to think about the things that you held near and dear to you, that you loved, that you admired, that felt so good that it's time to let go of. Y'all, for some of us, it's relationships. For some of us, it's business connections. For some of us, it's personal interests, things that are more of a distraction to our calling than it is an enhancement or a benefit. Doesn't mean you got to sacrifice everything, right? Demadia said it, dump the extra weight. And if you think about that, if you think about the other day, me and my daughter, we woke up and we were out in the back stretching on the in the backyard. And it was like, I think it was Sunday, right? And so it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and we go on, we look to the left. Right? We looked to the left and Chloe was like, Mommy, look. And when we look, it was some hot air balloons and they were floating. I guess they do them, but you got to go at like 4:30 in the morning, and they were floating over near our subdivision. Right? And I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. Right? I want to go to New Mexico and do the whole hot air balloon, whole ceremony that they do. But when you are taking a hot air balloon up and you're being elevated, you got to throw sandbags off. You have to get rid of all the dead weight in order to be elevated. And the things that are no longer serving where you are and serving that assignment in your life and serving where you're going and serving who you need to become, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. And I've watched so many videos lately of business owners, entrepreneurs, people who have had massive success over here, completely burn the boat on something because they're like, in order for me to go to this new dimension in what I'm doing, all this other stuff gotta go. It worked for that last season, but this season, it's not going to work. Pruning season is the ability to release any and everything that is not going to support who you are called to become. Some of us are so attached to things that are hindrances to our progression. They're holding us back to that next level, and they're keeping us playing small because it's safe, it's comfortable, it's nurturing, it's enjoyable, but I love it and I know this and it feels so good and so warm and so fuzzy, but it's also crippling you. It is enabling you. It is handicapping you. It can be people. It can be relationships. It can be business. It can be hobbies. It can be whatever. But it's time to release those things out of your life. And so if you want to be elevated, you guys, if you want to really get to a point where you stop being in a state of stagnation, like this, holding yourself hostage, number one, you got to get spiritually aligned. Like, and Diamante is on here, you know, she is so, oh my God, just the embodiment of what it means. She is a good friend. She's become a good friend of mine, but she's the embodiment of what it means to own your power, right? And we always talk about it. And she's like, Nick, You just gotta just be authentically you. You don't have to do more things. Many of us are addicted to the doing. We feel like the only real way that I can be empowering or empowered or acknowledged or in my strength is if I do more. Let me add more to my list. Let me fill my schedule up more. Let me go to more events. Let me show up and network more. Let me watch more videos. Let me buy more courses. Let me get more certifications, get more degrees. More. We think it's more. And let me tell y'all what God says. God says, do less. Let go. Release. No more. Cut back. Prune. Release. Surrender. Let go. Let go. Unapologetically, unapologetically and intentionally be who you are. And that's the key. Who you are, y'all, is who God created you to be in your amazing brilliance, magnificence. I think it's Psalm 139. It says, even before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. Right? God crafted you. You are a spirit being having a human experience. You're not a human being having a spirit experience. So what does that mean? That means that these bodies are borrowed. That means that what we're experiencing and what we're living out today we were planted in this shell for such a time as this, for a specific season to accomplish specific things. And we were equipped with everything we needed to make that happen. The problem for most of us is we spend the rest of our life unlearning what people try to put in us that opposes the thing that was naturally in us, that is naturally in us. But who you are and what you're called to do, your vision, what you see, the things that you imagine, the things that are in your vision, the things that are in your dream, the things that are driving you day in and day out, this thing that you just keep seeing perpetually over and over and over again. You're like, oh my God, I can't get rid of this thing. And even if you are a journaler, I tell people, God doesn't give us no new ideas. Here's the thing. Y'all think y'all praying for new revelation? God will show you the same thing over and 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 over again. And guess what? He's going to keep showing you that same thing until you take action. God doesn't say, oh yeah, you don't want to do that last thing. Let's come up with something completely new. No, that's how the brain works. That's how humans work. We think that we can avoid instructions and obedience from things that we're called to do to go recreate a new distraction to get away from the things that are really in alignment for what we're called to do. And that's why we have to be so spiritually in tune and get connected here. We have to know how to cut off social media. Good morning. I'm glad to spend this morning with y'all. But it actually has to be where the first thing in the morning, you get connected to your source. Where is God leading you? What are you spiritually aligned with to accomplish? What is your intention? Is one thing we talk about. What is your intention for the day? What is your assignment for the day? What is the one thing that if you focused on doing that one thing today is going to get you closer to where you're supposed to be to do the thing that you're called to do? These are things that we have to start being very discerning, not the 50 things. Oh, I need to go pick the clothes up from the cleaners. I need to go drop the kids off here. That stuff it has to get done, but it's not the assignment on your life. And so getting spiritually aligned, becoming discerning, and then understanding what it means to be connected to your pruning season is how you're going to actually be able to walk in crazy faith, to do some bold, audacious, crazy things in your life that will scare the you know what out of you, that will put your life in such an elevated way that you know that it has to be supernatural in power. It has to be supernatural power that's getting you to that place, because your physical self could have never got you there. Could have never got you there. I love you, Diamandia. You know you are like my role model. That's my girl. I love, love, love her. But that is what it's going to take for you to get in alignment with what God has called and crafted you to do those bold, audacious things that seem crazy because in your head you see it, but in your physical body you feel incapable of producing it. It comes from being in alignment, being discerning, and being passionate about walking in your pruning season, releasing things so that you can walk in your power. Walk in the power that God is giving you. Walk in the power of all the gifts that are in you. Walk in the power of your confidence to see what you are built and created to do. And I'm gonna read this. This is one of my favorite scriptures, right? It's in John 15, right? It says, I'm the vine and you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned, right? So what does that mean? You got to stay connected to your source. You got to be spiritually aligned. You cannot do this thing on your own or you will fall apart. You cannot figure this out. You can't strategize it. You can't blueprint it. You can't go out here and see somebody else and what they've done and write down your blueprint and strategy to get there. You have to be connected to God as source to really be spiritually aligned and ask God to give you such a level of clarity about direction that, remember what I told y'all about the FBI or CIA or whatever they were. They study the real deal so much that when they see a fake, they can spot it. You want to get so connected to God as source for him to show you who you are and have such a practical picture of the real you. Not the counterfeit you, not the covered up you, not the duplicated version of somebody else you, not the I want to be like this person and that person you, but who did God create and design me to be? Who is the authentic me that God designed, that I want to get to know, that I am so connected that anything that becomes a counterfeit or a fake to that key source of me being authentically who God's designed me to be, I immediately spot it out and prune it out of my life. That is where we want to be, you guys. And that is what I want to encourage you guys on this morning to figure out for you. It's a journey. This ain't no sit down this morning and write my little checklist and I'm going to check off the boxes and I'm going to have it all together. This is a every day, in every way, I am pursuing to prune and to enhance so I can walk in my purpose, walk in my power, walk in my confidence, be in alignment to fulfill the call that God has placed on my life. And when things have to be removed, I might mourn them, I might miss them, but I willfully surrender them to let them go. I am not going to sit here and hold hostage the things that are no longer serving me, but I'm going to let them go. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share with you guys this morning. I put a post up. You guys can go read my post about the revelation that God gave me. And God was like, do it live, right? I felt led this morning to come on and do a live because I feel like sometimes, you know, we are so good at coming on and sharing other things that are not as transformative, but we don't share the key things that can really inspire people in a way that would lead a revolutionary transformation in their life. And so I'm hoping this inspires you guys. This has got me to get up this morning with purpose. I have work to do. A lot of things that God, and Michael Todd said it. He said, God will allow it to be planted in your head and then it'll be transferred to your heart so that it can come out through your hands. I'm going to repeat that. He will allow it to be transferred to your head. You will get the vision. You will see it. It will be in your imagination. You will begin to get those downloads where it's like elevation. You start seeing things at a higher plane that will then impact your heart. It'll impact your heart where you're so connected to it. It's a part of you now. And you're like, oh my God, I got to bring this to life. How do I bring it to life? Where do I go? Where do I start? And it starts with what you have in your hands. What is the first thing, the first step that you can take today that will get you there? And that's the thing that you have to identify for you by getting in spiritually aligned and in tune with what that looks like. So I love you guys. Listen, Michael Todd, anything on Crazy Faith that he has done in his series on YouTube. He just wrote a book. I love you, Diamantia. Can't wait to see you in 2 days, sis. But yeah, anything that he has done, go and look it up. YouTube is filled with stuff on YouTube. So I'll go ahead and I'll post the video that I watched this morning. It's like 1 hour, 45 minutes. It's pretty long. I only got through 1 hour and I'm gonna listen to it for the, while I'm getting dressed or whatever. Okay. So if this has helped you guys, share it with somebody. I love you guys. I hope y'all have a great and awesome day. I hope this inspires you and I will do this as I'm led. I don't know if I'm gonna be getting up every morning doing this, right? I'm always up, but I hope this inspires y'all. Have a great day. Okay, y'all. Bye-bye.